Okay, so this is our example for RLC, no? Resistance, inductance, and capacitance combination plus your 8 ampere current source. The problem is stated in this manner. Find I for t greater than 0 if the circuit is in steady state when the switch is open at time t is equal to 0. Okay? So at t greater than 0, the switch is already open. So this is how your circuit will look like. So if you will approach the problem and try to solve it using your loop analysis and try to count the number of unknowns, we have here your branch current A, branch current B, the current through the inductor, or that is the required current I, and the current through the capacitor. This is denoted by IC. IC, or the basic definition of the current, is the derivative of Q with respect to T. So if you will try to mark your nodes being your node 1, node 2, and this is your reference node, let us now try to apply your Kirchhoffs. Usually, we will apply your Kirchhoffs by following this loop. KVL at loop 1, at loop 2, and applying your KCL at node 1 and node 2. So if you will start with a KCL at node 1, KCL at node 1, summation of currents entering, there is only one current, that is your 8 amperes, and the rest is leaving. So A plus B is equal to 8. So this is equation 1. And doing the same at node 2, KCL at node 2, summation of currents entering, there is only one current, and this is equivalent to current going out. This is your I. So this is your I plus IC. Since your IC is the derivative of Q with respect to T, so this is I plus derivative of Q with respect to T. Equation number 2. Then we will try to apply also your KVL at loop 1. KVL at loop 1. We will now have A times 1 minus 3 times B minus the drop across your inductor, that is 5 Henry, derivative of I with respect to T. Then we go back to your starting point. So we will now have A minus 3B minus 5, derivative of I with respect to T is 0. This is equation 3. And your last equation is obtained by applying your KVL at the second loop. That is the drop across your inductance minus the drop across your capacitance is set to 0, or that is 5 derivative of I with respect to T minus 20 times Q is 0. Okay, we now have your fourth equation. So if we will try to start substitution, preferably we will start with equation 1, with equation 1 being substituted in the 2 or in the 3 other equations. Let us say, let us express your A in terms of the other variable from equation 1. So your A is equivalent to 8 minus B. We will be substituting equation 1 into equation 3. Single substitution only. Okay. Substituting equation 1 to equation 3 to obtain 8 minus B minus 3B minus 5, derivative of I with respect to T is 0. If we will combine similar terms, this is 8 minus 4b minus 5 derivative of 5 with respect to t is 0. This is equation 5. So your final equation, okay, we already have utilized equations 1 and 3, is equations 2, 4, and 5. So out of the equation that we have, we may start again with the substitution of equation 2 to equation 4 and equation 5. Okay? Let us try now to substitute. Substituting equation 2 to equation 5, we will now obtain 8 minus 4 times b, that is I, plus derivative of q with respect to t, minus 5 derivative of I with respect to t is 0. And simplifying, this is 8 minus 4i minus 4 derivative of q with respect to t minus 5 derivative of I with respect to t is 0. This is equation 6. Okay, now, out of the equations that we have, we already have used equation 2 and equation 5. Equation 4 and 6 must be combined. You will have to decide which one is more preferable to simplify in terms of I or in terms of Q. By inspection, it is more easier to express equation 4 in terms of I, then substitute the result into equation 6. So from equation 4, we will now obtain 20q is 5 derivative of I with respect to t, or q is 1/4 derivative of I with respect to t. However, if you will try to take a look in equation 6, what we will need in equation 6 is the first derivative of q with respect to t. So what we will do with this one is simply differentiate this with respect to t, so that the result will become derivative of q with respect to t is 1/4 second derivative of I with respect to t squared. Supposing that this is equation 7. So what should we do with equation 7? It is pretty obvious, correct? We will be substituting equation 7 into equation 6 to obtain, substitute equation 7 to equation 6 to obtain 8 minus 4i minus 4 times 1/4 from equation 7 second derivative of I with respect to t minus 5 derivative of I with respect to t is 0. And simplifying, we will now have negative second derivative of I with respect to t minus 5 derivative of I with respect to t minus 4i is equivalent to negative 8. Multiplying both sides by negative 1, this is the second derivative of I with respect to t plus 5 derivative of I with respect to t plus 4i is equivalent to 8. This is now your second order differential equation. Okay? And I think you already have this one in your differential equations. It will be very easy for you to solve this. The general solution for a second order differential equation can be done in two manners, using the undetermined coefficients or using your Laplace transforms. Is there anybody who already have an advanced reading regarding Laplace transforms? Okay, so I will erase this part so that we can solve the differential equation in the other side. The equation there is second derivative of I with respect to t plus 5 derivative of I with respect to t plus 4i is equivalent to 8. The general solution for this is I is equivalent to IP plus IC, wherein IP is the particular solution and IC is the complementary solution. How do we find the particular solution? Since the right side of the equation here is a constant, generally your IP is also, and it must be a constant. We will need the first derivative and the second derivative. So the second derivative or first derivative of a constant is 0. This derivative of the first derivative is also 0. Substituting this, we will now have the second derivative, that is 0, plus 5 times the first derivative, it is also 0, plus 4 times I. Your I here is equivalent to IP, that is 4 times IP is equivalent to 8. So you will now have your particular solution, and that is 2 amperes. Okay? Questions? We will now proceed to the complementary solution. For the complementary solution, we will set the right side of the equation to 0 and equate your I to be equivalent to IC. So we will now have the second derivative of IC with respect to t plus 5 derivative of IC with respect to t plus 4 times IC is 0. Okay? And we will try to derive your auxiliary equation. The auxiliary equation of this is m squared plus 5m plus 4 is equal to 0. And try to find the roots of your auxiliary equation. How do you factor m squared plus 5m plus 4? You can do this by factoring, by applying your quadratic formula, and the last is using your completing the square, no? Factoring by completing the square. Okay, how do we factor this? This is m plus 1 and m plus 4 is 0. Okay, and come up with a conclusion that since the roots are real and distinct, this will fall under case 1. Okay, roots are real and distinct, case 1, wherein the general solution is IC is equivalent to C1 e raised to 1 times t plus C2 e raised to this is supposedly negative 1 negative 4 times t, because the roots of your auxiliary equation here is negative 1 and the other one is negative 4. So therefore, the complementary solution is C1 e raised to negative t plus C2 e raised to negative 4t. So therefore, the general solution for I is equivalent to C1 e raised to negative t plus C2 e raised to negative 4t plus your IP, which is 2 amperes. Yan. So this is the general solution of I. How do we find now the value of C1 and C2? The procedure is the same as we have been doing under RL and RC. Okay? Under RL and RC, you proceed into the initial conditions. can obtain your I as well as the capacitor parameter. Okay. So at time t is equal to 0 negative, the switch is still closed and your circuit will look like this. Okay. So let's continue. For the initial conditions prior to the opening of the switch, the circuit is already under steady state, meaning your inductor is behaving like a short circuit, your capacitor is an open circuit, your capacitor is behaving like an open circuit. As you can see in our diagram, this is how the current flow will look like. No current will be passing through your capacitor terminals. All the currents coming from your constant current source will be flowing from your 1 ohm going to your 5 Henry inductor. So the value of I at time t is equal to 0 initially is 8 amperes, giving you also an initial charge. Since the voltage here is 0 for a short circuit, the initial charge across the capacitor is 0. So making use of this, at time t is equal to 0, your current is 8 amperes. Okay, so from this equation, at time t is equal to 0, the initial value of I is 8 amperes. So 8 is equivalent to C1 plus C2 plus 2. C1 plus C2 is equivalent to 6. This is equation number 7. And at time t is equal to 0, the derivative of I, as we have derived a while ago, with respect to t is 0. We will have here your equation 8. So C1 is negative 4 of C2. Substituting now equation 8 to equation 7, C1, that is negative 4 C2 plus C2 is equal to 6. Okay. This is equivalent to negative 3 C2 is equivalent to 6. C2 is negative 2. Knowing now the value of C2, we can have your C1. Since from equation 8, C1 is negative 4 times C2. Okay. So therefore, the value of I is equivalent to C1, that is 8 e raised to negative t, plus C2 e raised to negative 40 plus 2 amperes. You can always check the validity of your equation by finding the value of I initially out of this equation. Okay, if you try to check, at time t is equal to 0, your I is 8 amperes, correct? So from this equation, you should be getting 8 amperes. 8 minus 2 plus 2 is 8 amperes. Okay? That is all.